Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Backyard Baseball League World Championships. All right, I already messed that up, but it's the Reddit Backyard Baseball League. It is me, Jibbo. I am joined here today with none other than the Shinebloom. How are you doing today?
Gibbo, this is a dream come true. It's a dream that I haven't had for very long, but it's a dream nonetheless. Can't can't wait to be a part of this. Thank you for inviting me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? You started streaming some Melonheads games. You're the coach, manager, and the broadcaster of the Humongous Melonheads. It's an amazing stream. The broadcast quality is incredible. So we've all, you know, I watch them all the time. Every Wednesday night, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
I,
It's honestly, I'll be very honest with you, Joe. I didn't know where it was going to go. It was just something that we thought would be a little bit entertaining for, my daughter was getting ready to come into the world and we didn't really know what was going to happen. So we're just like, let's do something for fun. And
mhm.
I need to correct you, Jimbo. You said that I'm the coach. You said that I'm the
Oh yeah,
coach.
that's right.
I am not. My 4-month-old daughter is the coach. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I understand.
Everybody else takes care of business. So
Wow. Well,
no, it
congratulations
is a
on
lot of
that
fun.
as well. Congratulations.
Thank you. I got to take care of the fun part, and my wife has been doing an amazing job of making sure she's, you know, the amazing little girl that she is. So we're very lucky.
That's amazing. That's great. Anything else looking to promote? Do you also broadcast basketball? That's right.
Yeah, so believe it or not, the Melonheads is not what I do for broadcasting all the time.
Hmm.
Been very lucky to broadcast in the Midwest for the last 5 years, and I was in radio for a previous five before that. Ultimately, what I do is a lot of football, a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball, and this is kind of like the I don't want to say off season because there are still games going on,
Hmm.
but typically around the holidays, I try not to get super invested in the basketball season yet. So next month, it's going to be about a twice a week thing. So we'll be super busy. But in the meantime, you are stuck with me, and everyone else is stuck with me tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that you have this little off season for us. um,
Hey, I wouldn't have it any other way.
So, for anyone that's new here to the rBBL, this is just backyard baseball. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows this game. But there are some small differences. Instead of playing against each other head to head, which was normally impossible for the past like 20 years up until very recently, um, this league you play against the computer and then you compare your score with whoever you're matched up with. And we have a whole season of that, a whole draft of all 260 kids. A couple of the rules there we've made for competitive reasons, like no bunting, and then there's some base running rules where we found some exploits, and it made it a little less like baseball. So you'll see some slight differences between normal backyard baseball, but it's mostly just baseball. And another thing is the home team will get a bonus run for every 5 runs they score. That's just to make up for the bottom of the six that they usually will not play. Um, so how did we get here between the Cubs and the Green Monsters? Let me pull up that for us, that nice graphic. So Emery and the White Cubs went 12-2 in the regular season, and in the playoffs up against the Braves, they went 2-1 against Nate Tastic. Who Nate, if you listen to his podcast, he mentioned that he thought if he had home field advantage, he could have won that one. Uh, and then Emery continued steamrolling through the playoffs and defeated the Royals in Victory 2-0 to make it here to the championship, as we call it, I guess. Um, and then the games against the Royals were close, high scoring games. And then the Green Monsters and Yurya went 11-3 in the regular season, also won their division. Uh, or first seed as well in the NL, and then played against Itanium first, and the Giants and won 2-0, and then took on the rookie Pepsi Boy and defeated him in the NLCS 2-0. Very close matches. I don't know why I can't see the chat. There we go. Okay, I can see it now. Oh, there's a slow mode. Interesting. Okay, sorry, I don't know what's going on in the chat. Sorry, guys. We're gonna move forward now and say these are the two averages between the teams, the Cubs and the Monsters, and then Shinebloom. Anything that sticks out to you between the ratings of both teams?
Yeah, I think what surprised me the most between these two teams, and this is just a very on the surface kind of approach to it. These are two teams that it makes sense why they're in the World Series because they've quite frankly taken care of business this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
One loss between the two teams, quite frankly, showcases. These are two coaches, these are two managers who have been very fixated on just doing what they can to succeed. And ultimately, you can't argue with the success. And, Jimbo, you would know better than me as far as,
Mm-hmm.
is this the finale you expected? Because the numbers would certainly indicate that to be the case.
Yeah, you bringing that up. One of our moderators, admins, Oops, does like a prediction beginning of the season. He actually predicted these two teams to be in the championship. So, yeah, I think, like you said, both teams were probably favorites leading into this, and that has like never happened. So it's a little bit shocking. So just running through both teams, I mean the ratings between them, the averages of the average ratings of these teams. I don't know how to explain that. Team averages, um, very similar. Like, but when you look at that, they look very similar. But I'll get into a little bit of why that's misleading. We're going to move forward. And this is the season performances. And the Shinebloom, if you want, you can talk through some of these.
Yeah, let's just talk about what jumps on the off the page for a moment. And obviously, the White Cubs scoring 22 runs a game.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say you can call that video game numbers?
Yeah.
I think in this instance, it's a little bit appropriate, right?
Yeah.
22 runs a game is a little insane. And then again, you talk about the sample size of just how many games are actually being played. 56 home runs
Mm-hmm.
is astronomical. So just essentially when it comes...
Oh, I've been disconnected. Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, it disconnected me for some reason. But you continue from astronomical, I believe is where you left off.
well, here's how I will describe it then. Just absolutely insane. It's just absolutely insane numbers to hit that many home runs, to score that many runs. That sets a very high bar to have to keep up with. And honestly, I think that's what's going to make this game fun, is because ultimately they're going to have to score both of these teams to win, and they both score a lot.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, if you look at it, home runs, that's how the Cubs seem to be getting all their runs. And the Monsters a little bit more balanced. And then runs against, the Monsters probably have maybe one of the top one or two defenses. So it's basically a top defense versus a top offense if you look at it like that. Moving on, here's some overall stats. And let's see what I'm supposed to do now. So a few key players for the Cubs. Pete Wheeler, down there, the fastest player in the game. Has 47 runs on the year. Leads this team. Is the team leader in my opinion. Very great on defense. Gets on base so well. And then for pitching, you'll have Jody Palmer, who's done a great job. Not giving up too many runs this year. And then let's see, the big home run hitter. There's three players who will hit home runs: Sally Dobbs, Mikey Thomas, or Veronica Lee, and they've really kind of shared the load as the power hitters of the team. So you should be seeing them hitting those RBIs. Um, then we can look over at the Green Monsters, and then does anything stick out to you here, uh, Shinebloom?
It's almost reminiscent of what we saw the modern day New York Yankees doing with Aaron Judge at the top of the lineup. Putting Davey Marion at the number one spot to lead your team in home runs and RBIs and batting average is significant. And obviously, there's a reason why it works modern day baseball, not just in the rBBL, because ultimately some people believe your best hitters should get the most repetitions.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to ensure they get the most repetitions is you put them at the top of the lineup. So right off the bat, you're seeing that between Marion and Frankie Holly. Granted, Frankie has not exactly had the batting average compared to some of the better hitters statistically, but 7 home runs and 21 RBIs will certainly accomplish what you're looking for. And then, of course, Derek Jeter near the bottom of the lineup hitting 648.
I'm
It
not sure
always
if
helps
that's.
to have.
I think that's. I don't think it's the 1 to 9, but I do think Marion actually leads off. But
Well,
they switch up their
then you
lineups
know
all the
what?
time.
Well, I'll just tell you, 648, and having just players that at the bottom of the lineup in general that can contribute, oftentimes can make a big difference as you make your way towards the end of the season, because you really want to be able to make sure that rallies can continue. The last thing that you want to do
Mm-hmm.
is have a stalemate kind of last 4 in your lineup
Yeah.
where all right, we are probably going to get 2 outs out of 4 in this
Right.
game. There's a big difference in knowing you have that reliability.
That's a really good point because there are only 6 innings in backyard baseball, and you can't waste 2 innings just getting 3 outs in a row from your bottom of your lineup. So, yeah, good points. I misled you with this being the 1 to 9 lineup. I apologize for that. Uh, I don't know what their typical lineups are, but I do know that Yurya does like to load up the top, or at least his first hitter, traditionally. We'll see if he changes. Um, and we'll move forward. We'll move on to the AI alignment. So this is what each person will be up against. So these are like the computer set up defenses. So Yuri is going to play against the Emery's White Cubs in that formation, and then the White Cubs will play against the Green Monsters um, in that formation. So let's see. I'll walk through the Cubs defensive AI. They have Pete Wheeler at left field, which is ideal. Center field, Veronica Lee, very fast, catches everything. Sheila Basanti, pretty quick in right field as well. Kirkos at third, Hoskins at second base, Sally Dobbs, the tall Sally Dobbs at first, and then Jordan Thurner, who is a Dante Robinson clone at shortstop, pretty good. Mikey Thomas at catcher, with a good arm, and Jody Palmer on the mound. Oops has come into the chat saying technically I predicted the Yankees to make the championship, not the Monsters. Monsters were number 1 in power rankings, which was different. So thank you for clarifying. Oops. Yeah, so he didn't predict them to win the championship, but predicted them to be the best team. So I don't know how that works exactly, but it's good predictions either way. Shinebloom, do you want to walk through the defense that Yurya has designed?
Yeah, and I'm not going to go through everything as you can see on your screen, but I will make a couple of highlights. Obviously, the left side of the infield is just absolutely stacked between A-Rod and the Goldie Glove winner, Derek Jeter. But one of the things that I think is kind of interesting is, while there are some strong arms, not as many as I guess I would have expected, Jimbo, for such an elite defense. I mean, the fact that they're able to make plays right off the bat, pun not intended, is significant because it shows that they're not relying on trying to get guys stretching singles into doubles, and they can just make plays when they're put in front of them. So I think that, to me, kind of highlights a lot of success. And then again, I mean, they've got Tony Del Vecchio, so they've got an accent on their team. How bad can they really be? Of course they're not bad. They're in the World Series for a reason.
That's right.
It's for that heavy New Jersey accent, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Del Vecchio making a World Series appearance. is wonderful for the league. Good character to have out here. Uh,
I'm sure it's not the Del Vecchio that you would prefer, though.
yeah, that's so funny. I don't know where I land on the Del Vecchio, Angela Del Vecchio fence. You're either on one side or the other, and I don't know what side I am now. If people in the chat want to debate that for a while, go ahead. I'll try and pick by the end of the broadcast today. But I mean, I'm sure you guys are sick of me uh, pre-gaming here. We're gonna get to the real show. We're gonna get this going. This championship is it's due. We're due for this championship. Everyone wants it. Yurya, the veteran, the commissioner, actually, for the last 9 seasons, up against Emery, the champion from last year. Let's get started. As we see here, they're just setting up their defenses. And hopefully, if the audio is bad, please let me know, chat. Um, but they'll get started shortly. Yuri is on the right side, Emery is on the left. The baseball bat will highlight when they are batting. So if a user is batting, it'll highlight the baseball bat. Hopefully. It should. Yep, there it goes. So already a little bit chaotic. First pitch, AI swings against Emery. They hit a double, a triple. So explaining this to Shinebloom. So they're playing simultaneously, and this is going to be a little bit hectic. But on the right side is Yurya playing the video game, and then on the left side is going to be Emery playing. It's. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. This is madness. This is absolute madness to see them go back and forth, and already we're starting to see some strategy from what we're seeing in the White Cubs, at least on the left. A lot of bunts trying by the AI, it looks like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know why, but they love to bunt when they have speed, and I think it's because Mikey Thomas is slow at catcher. But Yurya finally gets some action and gets a single with Davey Marion, as the AI on the left side is already a player on second and third.
Which again, I mean that is significant, but the Cubs, they're used to giving up runs, and that's a big double play.
That's huge double play. That ends the inning. That was kind of scary for them.
And again, a team we just talked about giving up so many runs and then to come away with a power up. I mean, that's certainly an advantage for the Cubs on their side of the screen.
Ricky just gets nailed in the head there on the left side of the screen. Oh, it's a big hit from Derek Jeter.
And Jeter, if that's fair, yeah. So there are first runs, just like that.
That's a 2-run shot by Jeter. The blimp is flying for them, and they take a 2-0 lead.
Now, you'll have to explain to me how a blimp can fly indoors.
You know, I'll leave that to my childhood imagination.
It's a big arena, is what I've kind of convinced myself. It's very big.
Yurya is asking to stop the count. If this was who could score first, then I think he would have won.
Well, you have to believe. I mean, look at the small ball combined with hitting hard shots. I mean, this is an ideal start right now for what you're seeing from the Green Monsters.
Yeah, the top.
At least on the right.
Yeah, the batting Green Monsters on the right are not even an out yet, so they could get infinite runs at this pace.
That is math. That is 100% math, but unbelievably unlikely, and you and I both know that. Ain't happening
we would
tonight.
be pretty old.
Listen, we've got places to be. You know, Jimbo, you pay me by the hour, and you're paying a lot of money for this, so I hope it's not infinite.
Yeah, that would be. Oh my gosh, Mikey Thomas.
That one, yeah. Mikey Thomas just got all of it. And okay, so clearly the screen is seesawing a little bit, Jibbo.
Hmm.
Saw 2 runs on one side, now 3 on the other.
Yeah, but yeah, that was kind of worked just as they planned. Pete Wheeler on base, they got someone else on, and then Mikey hits them all home. So they've got 3 runs and 1 out, and the Monsters are
Now,
trying to get
hopefully you
something
can
going.
explain this to me.
Sure.
I'd love you to explain this to me. You know, Ricky Johnson is obviously not known for his hitting in the Backyard Baseball League, and yet here he is on a championship team. I'll just ask you very simply, how does that happen?
I think defense wins championships. I think Ricky is a very underrated defensive player, and then he has the speed. But that's also another question that you bring. Good question to bring up because in this league, a round 9 player is allowed to use power up hits. So Ricky is fast, and if you can get a power up with him, it kind of doesn't really matter how bad he is at hitting. So that's a really good question, and I forgot to mention that in the rules. So, for example, Emery can't use that screaming line drive until he gets to his round 9 pick, which I'm not sure who it is. Dominic Hoskins, I believe. Um, so once he gets up to bat, you'll see him probably use the line drive.
What a throw behind the plate by Delvecchio. Also, it's worth mentioning, too, on the White Cubs side on the left, you're talking about the Monsters being one of the better defensive teams. Well, here they are in the bottom of the first with only 1 away, and they're making defensive errors as well. So they're struggling in a lot of different ways,
Mm-hmm.
at least on the left.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Uh, I did hear from Emery a little bit, and he did mention that he wanted Yurya to hit only to Pete Wheeler. So that was his hope for his defense. And then Yurya, I think, been playing for like 9, this 10th season technically, 9 seasons. He's just really good at finding good spots for people. So it is a little weird that they're getting all these errors.
Well, speaking of good spots, just saw a double play to get him out of the inning in the first in the AI side of the Monsters defensively, as the Cubs had to take a seat and make their way back into the field. And then on cue, they make a defensive error and still recover.
Wow. So now it looks like both users are pitching currently. Um, oh, now they're changing it over. So now the Cubs are up to bat, and Yurya is still pitching here. And I think just was that the 3rd strikeout on Mikey there? Yep. So now they'll both be batting again. So it'll get a little crazier once again here.
Listen, I think you and I thrive on chaos. You know, we both have little ones. It's as simple as that. We
Yeah,
thrive on chaos.
always balancing something. Brett just gets a swinging bunt there. Gets the first base. Getting a little bit more production over here. Yurya is than Emery currently, but he's gonna have that screaming line drive up on the left screen.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think the screaming line drive is likely my least favorite of
It's
all the power-ups.
it's definitely everyone hates that one. I think it's definitely it's definitely like of 4 power-ups, it's definitely the worst, but it's still fun. I think it could be like backyard football with some of those really like super punt in backyard football is
Sure.
very not exciting. So I think Screaming Line Drive is good, but it is definitely the worst of the 4. And it's
Well,
hard to find anyone who doesn't agree with that.
well, speaking of not exciting, Davey Marion just came within a couple feet of hitting a 2-run homer on the right side of your screen. So that certainly could have helped the Monsters. Instead, it's just a big fly ball.
Yeah, could have used those runs, take the lead.
And they're all pretty hittable pitches and on cue right at Pete Wheeler, of
Mm.
course.
He's just a vacuum out there, a hole in the outfield.
And I have been, impressed with his ability. It's just because he can get to so many places so quickly, of course, with that speed he has.
Yeah, I think he's very aggressive as well, and he will just call the ball or call people away. Kind of is how it works, I guess. So he'll just range into center field if he needs to, or third base. We got
Well, I
someone.
will say it's a dangerous opportunity right now for the Cubs on the left side of the screen. 2 on and only 1 away.
Oh, the
And
dreaded
that's not
infield
what they were
fly.
looking
The infield fly that clearly wasn't going to get caught, but still going to call it.
for. It's not exactly what you're looking for there, but
Yurya's working
you
with
know,
a
with
full count.
Veronica Lee.
Yurya on the right side's got full count with Hoyo, as we call him. Oh, a really good, placed pitch there. But
Yeah. Wow.
still
And
safe.
still to reach base.
Yeah.
That's the shift not paying off there.
I've got some DMs here in the chat. Let's see. These had better be recorded. I think so. Okay, yeah, of course these are recorded. We put them on YouTube.
And I will say, if you take a look at the left, if Veronica Lee here can't succeed, for a 765 hitter this season and gets the walk, I would have been shocked if that did not pan out. And speaking of not panning out, the Monsters can't take advantage, and now they continue their woes offensively. Good start, and now struggling.
All right, sounds like someone mentioned that the chat settings are not great right now. I don't know how to change those right now as we're live. Maybe I'll. So yeah, I apologize to anyone who can't chat right now, unless it was changed. Whoa, grand slam! While I was trying to manage. Wow.
And that's Mikey Thomas's second home run and as many at-bats, which is even more significant when you consider the stage this is on, Jibbo. I mean, you have to be impressed with something like that. And how about jumping out to a quick 7 runs? Is that right?
Yeah, that's
7.
7 runs, and they would consider that a +8 because of the bonus run.
That's right.
Yeah, playoff Mikey, Emery is saying. That's a huge grand slam. Grand slams are just in this game when you have bases loaded, you just get outs so much more easily because there's so many more spots for your players to be slow and not reach base. So it's like you either hit a grand slam or you get double played. So that could really tilt the game based on those opportunities.
Well, speaking of opportunities, now with his 13th and 14th home runs of the season, Mikey Thomas, that has to be a league leading number of home runs. It has to be. I don't have the official numbers as far as league leaders in front of me, but 14 dingers in a stretch of only a few games, and I want to say what? It's a total of
14.
Doing quick math in my head, 18, 19.
Those stats were regular season only, actually. Oh my
That's
goodness.
even more terrifying.
I think Brett Olson just hit a home run for the Monsters on the left side. The AI Brett Olson just used the aluminum power, as it seems. I think that's his first home run ever. Oh my goodness! But
That's a guy who had 1 RBI, and that's for the player, not the AI, which is insane. 1 RBI in the regular season.
Oh, that's hilarious. It is playoff Brett Olson. Yeah, like you're saying, the league leader in home runs was actually 25 this season, which is incredible.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Is that a corked bat, or how did that work?
If you only practice swinging power, and you get lucky, I guess you can get up pretty high. I've never gotten to 25. I think my highest was like 17 or 18. But if you play the game competitively and practice a ton, you can definitely do it. Ricky's crazy bunt lands in a very nice spot in between Veronica Lee and Pete Wheeler. Gets a double.
Now, you and I would agree the Monsters just have to get something going offensively. Like, they have to start a rally. They just have to string together some hits. Because right now they're getting a runner on and then stalling out. They've got to stretch those.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're struggling to move these base runners and get hits into the outfield that aren't caught. But great. Jody Palmer's been pitching really well. The corners all game. So it's been tough for him. He hasn't had looks like it froze on the right side for some reason.
I do see that.
Hmm. In the meantime, Dominic Hoskins hits a line drive, left field.
Well, I was just about to make the observation, too, that Jody Palmer's throwing a lot of pitches through only 2 1/3 just for it to freeze. So you know what? I'm going to hold on to that. Pretend I didn't say it. Oh, there it goes. All right. I did say it. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Why
I
did it?
definitely said it.
Well, I have no idea why it froze, and I apologize, everyone, for that. I don't know how that could happen. You'll talk to El Chris Blanco about video editing and why a video would freeze if I rendered both of them at the same time. Either way, we'll pretend that didn't happen. I always have to have one problem with my edit, so
Nothing
that
happened.
was the one.
Didn't see anything.
I've had worse. I've done bigger mistakes.
I would not consider that a mistake. I think that was the lag. That's just the lag on the internet, right?
You could be right. Also, he could have clicked away. That could have been him pausing the game, and I didn't notice
That's a
it.
great point. Let's blame him. I think that's the right thing to do. It's definitely not our fault.
Yeah, yeah, that's what happened for sure.
What else could be?
Yeah,
When in doubt, blame someone else.
the Monsters finally get Palmer off the mound. Another aluminum power, Frankie Holly this time. So if Yurya's not going to score, maybe his computer will score, and they make the lead down to only 4. So a little bit of comeback here, thanks to his computers.
And that is significant too, because how many times do you really see scenarios where the AI scores more run than the actual user does?
It's very rare. So Yurya gets another 2 here off of kind of a scrappy play there. So it's 6-4 now, and we're in the top of the 3rd and top of the 4th of these games.
Now, do these guys know when they're playing what they're trying to reach?
They
Or is
don't.
this a surprise to that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a tricky part because sometimes you'll get to the last inning and you say, I want more base runners, or maybe I've tried for the solo home run. So a little bit of strategy involved there, knowing how to push it or how to risk it versus trying to stay safe and get a couple runs. But
Well, speaking of getting a couple runs, how about what we're seeing on the right?
yeah,
How about that? A 3-run homer.
Davey Marion, who you mentioned, comes up big, and now the Monsters, just like that, have turned the tables on the White Cubs.
I will say, seeing it executed this way, it adds a level of drama, does it not? I mean, this
The
is
the match of the weeks are so dramatic. Uh, I think it was not this season specifically, but the season before, every game was like down to the last inning, last out. So it does get
wow.
pretty exciting because in normal baseball, people get like a 5 or 6 run lead, and that's kind of insurmountable. But in rBBL, you could score 10 runs in an inning, so people can string together these comebacks that are incredible. And we've had some really great broadcasts, so it's so much fun, honestly.
Well, and I guess now I'm interested as well because you look at the Monsters; they're still in the top of the third. The Cubs on the left are already in the bottom of the fourth with 2 outs. Who has the advantage here? I mean, logic would say the Green Monsters having more time, but is that true?
Yeah, I think so. See, the Monsters have, what was that, 4, 5, 6, 7 outs left, and the Cubs only have four. Oh, unfortunately, out there. But yeah, you get. I think Yurya's really got this advantage here, especially with the Cubs will need 2 more runs to get that bonus run. So that could help out. So he's really got to aim for that. Um, I think Emery does. Sally Dobbs is up to bat on both screens. A
What are the
single.
odds?
What are the odds that Sally Dobbs makes contact and hits it into the field instead of fouling it off here?
That would be incredible.
Do we have a count here? Anyone? There's got to be at least 7 or 8 pitches by now.
It's a heck of an at bat, no matter how you want to shake it.
That's right.
I'm also just so impressed with the ability to read pitches. You know, granted, of course, you have that little pitch locator circle, right? But to still know what is actually a good pitch to swing at and
Hmm.
not is hands down one of the skills of this game that always blew me away. And I will say, guys like Titanium, who we talked about a little bit earlier, who was eliminated from the postseason, to play without the circle. How do you play without the locator? You gotta be so talented
Yeah,
in
you
these
gotta be
areas.
really talented. Usually clever and handsome people also play without the locator, like me. Uh,
I see. I see.
there's about maybe 3 or 4 of us that play without it, and I think it's just what we've been used to. One, and then two, the locator lies, and I can't handle the lies that it tells. Where like something can have only the slightest mark on the plate, but still be a strike, if that makes sense.
Well,
Uh,
Sally Dobbs finally hits it in play, by the way, and now she's on third base.
yeah, I think that was about
Ties it up.
14 pitches. Yeah, ties it up. That's a clutch hit from Sally, who I think has a few championship titles.
Hmm.
One
Well,
of
I
the
guess that's
most
what happens when you're so reliable.
yeah, one of the most winning players, at least. I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me. And now Yurya's back up to bat, and it's 7-7. He's got 3 outs to work with, and he's given a screwball. It's corkscrew.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think that was a juicy corkscrew, and he wanted it, but unfortunately, Pete Wheeler was over there.
A lot of balls hit at Pete Wheeler, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And you have to love the strategy of putting him in left for plays like that rather than center, where in theory he could cover more ground.
Hmm.
Now, that takes doubles away.
Oh, an unfortunate drop there by Jeter, the Goldie Glove winner. It was a tough catch, but
I don't know if you noticed, Jibbo, identical errors at shortstop by both shortstops on both screens.
I did not. I unfortunately am not as talented, and I can't cross my eyes quite like that. But that's incredible. That is a tough catch in this game, but Derek Jeter has to make that.
You know how it is, though. It's hard for these players at this young age, especially, to get their heads turned around. I mean, it's the fundamentals that they're still working on when they're playing in the rBBL, and
Hmm.
hopefully when they get older, when they start playing on 90-foot diamonds instead of 60-foot diamonds, those are the kinds of things that will be taught into
Hmm.
their expertise, shall we say?
Yeah, it's. I do scream and yell at the children a lot, but you're right. They do need to learn the fundamentals. We just saw it.
All I'm saying is and hear me out. I realize what I'm about to say may surprise you. I got a feeling this Jeter kid is onto something special when he gets older.
Yeah, he's got a lot of years. He might be pretty good. Uh,
A
so in
lot of potential.
so in the chat mentioned Sally Dobbs has 4 championships of 9. That's pretty incredible considering there's what, like 200 or so kids that are drafted every year. So I think next year I'm picking Sally Dobbs.
Well, apparently Sally needs to change her last name, according to the chat on Twitch.
Sally also has an online tag. What's the last name that she needs?
Fowler, apparently.
Spelled like shoot, Dustin Fowler. What's it?
That is how it was spelled, but
Mhm.
I think FOUL really drives it home.
Yeah, just get real literal with it.
Absolutely. Let's not beat around the bush here.
So Yurya does not score a run in the top of the fourth, unfortunately. So stuck at 7. The Cubs have 9 runs, technically, 9 differential runs, and they're in the top of the fifth. So they'll have one more at bat, whereas Yurya will have 2. Trying to get
Well,
my
and that's a tough play, too. Did you see what happened on the left there as they tried to get Jeter in a rundown and he's able to get back? That's tough.
the the monsters are of the computer monsters are really a tough team. They got 8 hits. That's quite a bit. Um, but he survives that one, and he's up to bat with Hoskins, who's going to get another screaming line drive.
Who would have thought Dominic Hoskins would be dominating in the Backyard World Series?
And hits a home run
On cue.
on
On
cue.
cue.
Uh, Man, there's a lot of talk about Dominic Hoskins because he had a great season last year, but he is normally undrafted or had normally been undrafted. So his stock is rising, and Pete just beats out a throw to first. The Cubs are turning it on here. They're up 10-7 currently.
And Jimbo, you talk about players improving their stock. Well, I can tell you in the conversations we had in the off season, Dom Hoskins was in the gym. He
Mm,
was in, he was in working in the off season, lifting weights. We're talking 2 pounders, 2 pounders. He wasn't going for bulk. He was going for a little bit of tone. Mission accomplished. He has
yeah,
atoned for his past sins.
those aluminum power bats are pretty heavy, so he's got
That's
to
right.
carry those around the clubhouse. One thing you will notice is that Emery does actually swing after the ball is being thrown back to the pitcher. That is just to make it so that the pitcher throws it the next pitch faster. That's a little speed running trick. He's got 2 people on base with a pretty good hitter at bat, so this could get dangerous.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity, especially for having less at bats remaining here on the screen.
Hmm.
You have to score every chance you get now, because and now that you just don't know what your opponent's going to do. I mean, that adds a level of excitement that as you're playing, no, you're forced to drag this out. I don't see why you would rush to complete a game. You got to be doing whatever you can to score.
Hmm. Mikey's going for another grand slam. That's oh, that's gonna be short.
And close too, with a chance for Pete to tag. So add one more.
Yeah, and another one. Oh, the Cubs on the right side are really struggling with Davey here. He gets it in the in the field triple. Infield triple.
I would say that's borderline cheddar.
Yeah.
Borderline cheddar.
Yeah.
Not sure, but borderline is how I would describe. He was running all over the place.
Yeah. Unbelievable. He's gonna need it. He needs a few runs here.
He sure does.
Wow, Mikey with a diving catch to get that out. That is, you you rarely see that. That's a rare sight. What a catch. Someone needs to
You
clip
said he
that.
was one of the faster players, right? He's one of the fastest players you've ever seen.
Mikey Thomas. I don't think so. I think maybe falling down a hill. He's pretty fast.
Well, speaking of going downhill, things are certainly doing that for the Green Monsters as Sally Dobbs just rips a 3-run homer, and
She's
that'll help the White Cubs.
she might be the GOAT. Like this the greatest of all time. Five championship, four championships or five? Four championships and trying to get a fifth. That's unbelievable. Unfortunately, the Monsters getting out there do not score any runs in their fifth inning, so they're gonna have one more chance.
They're going to need a big finish.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be have to be electric.
Boogie woogie woogie? No? Is that before your time? Saying
Uh,
it's electric, boogie woogie woogie? Are you
yeah.
familiar with the electric slide?
I unfortunately not. It's I think a little bit before my
Everybody
time.
knows the electric slide.
Oh, I look at 10
You
viewers,
get
9 viewers, 4 viewers. I'm just kidding. Uh,
Hey,
yeah,
every deep down, everybody knows the electric slide.
I know the
if you
electric
don't,
slide.
you gotta YouTube it. That's what I'm talking about.
I
Everybody
I
knows
think everyone knows about the electric slide. That's for sure. We have 15, plus 15 for the Cubs here, and Yurya is striking out the AI on the right side. He's only at plus 7. There's one out still for Emery, so he's got 2 outs to work with to extend this lead, and Yuria's got a whole nother inning. So he's gonna have to make a little comeback here.
Well, let me ask you this: as someone as experienced as yourself, why don't you tell me? When you're playing this, do you ever feel safe? Like, do you ever think if I hit X number of runs, I'm probably going to win the game and I'm comfortable with it? Or maybe you don't.
There's no certainties, but you know your team's like max pretty much. So if you have a defensive team, you're like I want to score 15 to 20, and that's I feel confident. Um, and you can like also win even if you think you lost for sure. So that's a good question. You're never 100% safe. You can get to a point where the whole defense is so tired that they like you just score at will and kind of get up to like 30s and 40s and 50s. At that point, you're like, okay, I'm done, and I'm gonna win this one, pretty like 99%. So uh, it's always stressful when people submit their scores because you never know.
I was going to say, I figured as much because, you can't just give the juice to everybody.
Yeah, we basically just
As
we basically took backyard baseball and made it as stressful as possible.
Now, something that also kind of intrigued me is that both of these teams, their home field was cement gardens through the regular season.
Yeah, that's another interesting uh, site. What do you, how's
Do they hate themselves, Jimbo? That's my question. Is what am I missing here?
I think
Because that and Tin Can Alley, I hate it.
we randomize the fields a little bit. Some people play Tin Can Alley so they can just smack the ball off the walls. They play to that advantage, but I think cement is kind of like a middle of the road field where you can build a team that doesn't have to be too fast, doesn't have to be power only like Steel Stadium. So you can build a pretty balanced team there. So yeah, like they're both from cement, so they're both teams that are kind of built for that field. So maybe that's why they've had such success across all fields. Um, we do see the Cubs finished up here, 15-3, plus 15, and Yurya has 2 outs to work with. He's gonna need 8 runs.
Possible?
Yes,
Question mark?
very very much possible. He's got a 1 run on base. You just gotta string it together a little bit.
And certainly some high stress pitches that are being thrown right now, and big opportunities at the plate for Lisa Crockett.
Mm-hmm. It when those balls are up in the corner and you've got two strikes, you're just hoping that you can knock those foul. And Veronica Lee is just dealing. Like that was an incredible pitch. Low and inside is the hardest pitch to hit in backyard baseball, so the computer throwing it there at two strikes is unfortunate for Yurya. But the man you're talking about earlier, Tedlecchio, is up to bat.
Tony D, and one of the things that kind of surprises me is we're seeing power on every swing. Is that normal? Because especially when you're trying to just get some runs together, I'm a little surprised that you wouldn't just want to stick with a grounder or line drive. It works out here, okay, but
Right.
I'm thinking rally all the time.
Yeah, it's a good point. I did see Lisa Crockett doing power, which I normally would line drive. Might ask Yuri about that. Maybe in the chat he can tell us what he was thinking. But I, it's not that home run friendly of a field, so I'm not sure what he was going for. Maybe he saw something. But yeah, like you said, I would have gone. I mean, obviously we get to see both sides, so it's a little easier. But probably would have gone with the line drive.
Well, potentially down to their last strike here. This could be significant.
Swinging butt here. And Mikey throws it to third. The correct play. And that one, that's gonna do it. We're gonna see the last half of the inning here, as the AI is gonna probably get three outs. But Emery's gonna take this game one, 15-7. Uh, any initial MVP thoughts from you, Shinebloom?
Oh, it's pretty clear who it is. It starts with an S and ends in Allie Dobbs. Now,
Yeah.
granted, you could give it to Mikey Thomas as well for the couple of dingers that he had, but ultimately for me, I think just because of how much we were talking about her, you know what? No, I've changed my vote. Just give it to Mikey Thomas.
Yeah,
Changed it.
I'm gonna go
Feel
with.
better about
I'm
it.
just going with Sally, just because she's got something about her that is a champion. It's like she can go. She can have whatever she's doing out there, helping out the team. That's what she's doing. Jodie Palmer from the Kelly C. That's a good pick as well. How well she did on the mound. So yeah, it's crazy. Sally Dobbs, I think, had a three-run home run, just a few other RBIs. High-scoring game from the Cubs. Um, as we see, Jordan Thorner's probably gonna get the last out of the game, and the Monsters creamed them, but unfortunately, not creaming them enough. I'm gonna jump back to our faces. Um, so, thank you, Shine Bloom, for joining us for the. This is the first time you've been on Match of the Week, and hope you had a blast.
Again, thank you for having me. I mean, God, so many takeaways from this game, to be honest. I mean, we hyped these teams up to be run scorers. They both score significantly below their averages.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are, still talking about, dare I say, maybe some World Series jitters that we're dealing with. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the rest of game 2 comes, and if there's a game 3, I'm interested to see how this all plays out, Jibbo. That's for sure.
Yeah. It will be potentially a best of 5. This was game 1. Game 2, we're gonna have another broadcast crew Saturday doing game 2, and then Sunday, the Shine Bloom will join me again, possibly, probably. But I don't want to commit. It's, things happen, of course. So we'll maybe see you guys Sunday for game 3, because I think best of 5 game 3s always happen, right? I'm trying not to spoiler how many. It's so we're excited to see you guys again. Thanks for joining, And everyone, make sure after this is over, go to twitch.tv/the Shinebloom to check out Shinebloom's Twitch channel. It's amazing content, so great production quality, much better than mine. But thanks for coming by, Shinebloom. I'm Jibbo, and we'll any parting words, Shinebloom?
I'll see you Sunday. How's that sound?
All right, we'll see you Sunday. Goodbye, everyone.
Who's on tomorrow? Who's on the broadcast tomorrow?
I think it's Pepsi and Nate. Pepsi and
Well,
Nate is what they've said.
we have set the bar very high for those
They're a
two.
good,
So
they're a
at
good
the
squad. They'll be good.
oh, we have suit jackets. What do they have? All right. So at the very least, they better be coming out wearing suit jackets tomorrow. The standard has been set.
That's so funny. Yeah, we'll see what they decide to do, but it'll be fun to watch. I'll enjoy being in the chat for that one. So, thanks everyone, and see you Sunday.